No matter what heating and cooling service you need at LCS Heating and Cooling, every call has one purpose.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Your comfort, our mission.
Your comfort, our mission. Your comfort, our mission.
From the first call to the final walkthrough, that mission guides everything we do. Visit lcsheatingandcooling.com.
Outside the Forecast on WTHR Plus is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling.
All right, thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of Outside the Forecast. 13 weather meteorologist Sean Ash. We're going to dive into the Henryville tornado as we come up on the 14-year anniversary. Before we get to that, I want to take a brief look back at a severe weather event we just recently had back on February 19th. Both of these events show you that any time of year, when the ingredients come together, you can have severe weather. In this case, we didn't have a real hot, humid day. It wasn't like we were, in the 80s with dew points in the 70s. We had all kinds of spin in the atmosphere, and boy, we had a very strong low-level wind field that was feeding thunderstorms, one of which was a supercell long tracker, and that produced a string of tornado warnings. There were actually a couple of different cells, but the southern one is what caused us the most problem. And if those red polygons look like they're in a similar path to May 16th of 2025, you're absolutely correct. We had a supercell that particular day that went from Sullivan, Greene, Monroe, Bartholomew, Brown counties, produced a stronger tornado, but this produced multiple tornado warnings, produced an EF-0 in Sullivan County, and an EF-2 just to the west of downtown Bloomington. EF-2 there for about 7 minutes, roughly about 4 miles, peak wind of 120. The main numbers, injuries, fatalities, 0. That's what we care the most about. Just touched down initially just west of the Monroe County Airport, crossed over the airport, went into some neighborhood area here around Storm Chase, and did some damage to the Planet Fitness as well as the Fifth Third Bank before it lifted, before it crossed I-69. This was the damage that night from Fifth Third Bank. Again, just showing you that even if we're in January or February, anytime in winter, it doesn't matter. If things come together, you can get severe weather. And did they ever come together 14 years ago on the 2nd of March? This was the convective outlook from the Storm Protection Center that day. At that time, we had a 3-tiered system, slight, moderate, high, and much of the southern part of the state of Indiana, most of Kentucky, northern Tennessee, southwest Ohio, in that high risk where the expectation was for, unfortunately, some significant tornadoes, and that's exactly what we had. Over 40 fatalities, over 300 injuries, 11 states, nearly 70 tornadoes. So when we talk about these storm threat levels and what they mean, it's a 5-tiered system. Now, on a 1 to 5 scale, if you will, 1, it's more isolated. Once you get into 4, potential of strong tornadoes, high wind, destructive hail. 5, high risk, an outbreak, a tornado outbreak or a high wind event. When we start talking about the EF scale, that particular day produced an EF-4, wind speeds in between the 166 to 200 mile range. Those are rare in the state of Indiana. We've had 30 on record since 1950. We've had 3 F5s or EF5s since 1950. They all occurred on the same day, April 3rd, 1974. So what I'm trying to tell you here is they are very rare. These high-end tornadoes are rare for our state. We are due. I mean, it's been 14 years since the Henryville tornado, which we're getting ready to get into here on the radar perspective. So I hope we don't have one, and I'm okay if we never have one. But when you start looking back it does seem like we're due. All right, so I want to kind of show you the path here of the Henryville tornado, which was nearly 50 miles, starting around Fredericksburg, went through New Pekin, it crossed through Henryville, crossing I-65 in the process, and then it made its course there just south of Madison. Nearly $60 million in damage, and last EF-4 in our state, and sadly 11 fatalities. Radar, and so going into and leading up to, by the way, there was several days of heads up that this could be a high-end day, high event day. And so all the ingredients were there. We had warm front. We had a lot of moisture. We had a strong wind field that was diverging across central Indiana, central southern Indiana, which increases the lift. So this was around 250. And this is Fredericksburg. And this is the radar presentation here. And as time unfolded, we started to get into what we call a debris ball. This was roughly around 3 p.m. Here's New Pekin. Weather Service office in Louisville had someone let them know that this tornado had multiple vortices. That's when they knew they had a high-end tornado, and that's when they upped the language of the warning to a tornado emergency that included Henryville. So at that point in time, we knew this was going to be a long-track tornado, and it was going to be on the high end. So in terms of what we call a debris ball, that ball on the radar that I have circled there is about to cross 60. That is literally the debris. It's picking up the debris. And so as we get into the 3:10 time frame here, here's Henryville, there is the tornado, and everyone knew it was going to be heading right toward Henryville. Didn't know if it was going to stay on the ground. Unfortunately, it did. This is the debris ball as it's hitting and crossing over I-65 roughly around 3:15 that day. This is from a meteorologist friend of mine, Brian Wood, and he was 2 miles south of this was crossing 2 miles south of him, again around 3:15. So you can see the tornado right there, just very ominous as it was carving through the town. And then by 3:19, you see where the debris ball is, still a very large, destructive tornado that had multiple vortices wrapping around it. And the environment, unfortunately, was so suitable for supercells. So there's the lead tornado. This is at 3:33. We've got another tornadic cell. Now this one produced very large hail core that crossed over I-65 with the rotating part of the storm heading more toward Memphis. Unfortunately, this storm was going through areas that had just been hit, so that impeded the rescue operations that were undergoing that particular day. So just a very violent setup. In this storm, by the way, the updraft with it was so strong that it was lofting. This is a three-dimensional look at the mesocyclone, but it was lofting debris tens of thousands of feet into the atmosphere. So very deep rotation on one of the stronger tornadoes that we have had. That's up to about 30,000 feet that you're looking at. When we say high-end tornadoes, and when they, the storm survey crews go out and they start putting a rating on tornadoes, they look at structures, what types of structures were impacted, what damage was done to those structures, and then they'll look at what happened to the trees. And when they start getting debarked and stripped, and that's the case that you see with this particular picture here, they knew at that point, and we knew it from radar, that it was definitely on the high end, and they got a tag of about 175 mile per hour peak wind with it. Again, this is more of that damage from Henryville. So as we kind of encapsulate everything here with this, again, Indiana's last EF-4 or higher tornado, as I mentioned, Only 33 EF-4s or EF-5s on record. 11 fatalities, nearly 50-mile path. Peak intensity puts it at 175 mile per hour wind there, and on the ground from 250 to 339 as we mark the 14-year anniversary here. We remember those that were lost that day, and we hope that we don't see anything like it anytime soon here. Time will tell. We always say be prepared. You know, when you start looking at those records back from 1950 and you realize, yeah, it's been 14 years. Prior to that, you had to go back to the 90s. So we're getting in that ballpark where usually something may have to give. Stay with us. We will keep you updated with severe weather as we get a little more into the season.
Outside the Forecast on WTHR Plus is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling.